Welcome, listeners, to another episode of the Banquet Hall podcast. I am blessed to be joined by another close friend of mine. But before we get to the podcast, I want to make sure our listeners, especially our new listeners who are tuning in for the first time, make sure you follow Banquet Hall Pod on socials. Give us a like. Joanne's about to give you all 5-star content, so make sure I'll leave a 5-star rating. No pressure, Joanne. All the pressure's on me to get a 5-star content. Don't worry. But Joanne, how are you doing today? Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I am well and blessed and very happy to be on here. Very.
It was a blessing to have you. Definitely somebody I wanted to have on the podcast. Eventually, when I started the Banquet Hall, you were definitely one of those people that I was thinking of, like, oh yeah, I gotta get Joanne on a podcast to tell her story. So I'm very excited to have you on the pod. Looking forward to the conversation. We also have like a pseudo live audience on your end. Joanne's joined by her girlfriend in the background. So if y'all hear some chuckles, that means we're doing a good job on the podcast in the back end. But listeners, make sure y'all pull up a comfy seat, get you a nice cup of tea going. If you got a hookah that you want to bring with you and join the hookah festivities, that's all part of the party here at the Banquet Hall. But lately I've been starting the podcast with a random icebreaker question. I just pull up off the top of my head so the listener has no idea what's coming their way. And I'm trying to think if I should I throw a softball to you, or you want one that you gotta think a little bit of? And you might not have to think, who knows?
I like thinking, so.
You like thinking? Okay. All right, so if you could only listen to one artist for the rest of your life that's not named DJ AlmondEyez, who would you choose and why?
That's horrible.
Only one.
Oh my God.
You have their whole discography,
What's the
though.
other question?
No, it's too late. We're already here.
Who can do? I'm a DJ. Who can do this?
That's why the question got to get thrown to the DJ.
Rest of my life.
If I give you 3, does that make it better?
No. No, it doesn't. Yikes. My palms are starting to sweat. I don't think I could answer that. That physically hurts me, Kyler. Why would you ask me this question?
I said, did you want a hard question? He was like, I like to think.
I like to think, but I don't like to hurt. Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, I'll remix the question for you. How about that?
Please.
We'll spin it back on the turntables for you.
Ooh,
You're making a playlist and can only include 3 artists in the playlist. And this playlist has to get you through an entire year.
Okay.
So it's not the rest of your life, but a year of your life focused on 3 artists in a playlist.
3 artists. Well, I will say there are artists right now that I could play. She already named one of them that I could play at any party right now and pretty much get away with playing almost all their catalog. Chris Brown, Drake, and maybe the last one.
No pressure. You got Drake, you got Chris Brown.
Yeah, Drake and Chris, because they have family songs, they have party songs, they have sexual songs, they have all the songs, the vibes and the moods that you can think of. Part of me wants to say Lil Wayne, and mostly because Lil Wayne is like universal. Like you could play a Lil Wayne song virtually anywhere, any crowd, any party, and people are gonna dance. It depends on the song, but everybody is familiar with those artists that I just mentioned.
I rock with it. See, that wasn't so bad once we eased up the question a little bit.
I'm still cringing.
Hey, look, if I was on the other side, I would probably cringe too, because I don't know. Actually, I know who I would say for the one artist, but if I had to pick 3 for a playlist, I think Drake and Lil Wayne are like perfect picks just because the discography is so deep. And then if we like really flex the rules a little bit and you get their features too, that just opens up like the entire world. Because who don't got a Drake feature at this point?
At this point, yes. Yes, I agree.
No more Victoria Monet for a whole year.
Oh, No Victoria Monet for a whole
I've
year.
been heavy on Victoria Monet, but I've been on Victoria Monet before I really knew who she was. You know, seeing the visuals of who she is,
Mm,
but you know, it's different now because it's like, oh, okay, now I see her. She's a little bit more mainstream. But before, you know, I was already listening to her, so that would be
right.
tough. That's why I can't choose. Like, there's a lot of artists I'm listening to right now that I'm like, I can't give them up.
Was there an artist that came to mind when I said one artist for the rest of your life, or like a few you were thinking about, or was it just an impossible task?
There were a few that came to mind, only because I listen to them right now because they have new stuff out. So it's like I'm listening to certain songs on repeat. So I'm like, I can't go without that song right now. I would be physically in pain.
Hey, well, the good thing is this is just a random icebreaker question. You can listen to all the music you want after this podcast is over. Sorry
Yes.
for putting you in such agony at the beginning of the
I'm an anxious
podcast.
person. You can't do that. My heart was racing. Oh my God.
Okay, I promise that that's hopefully the only question that's going to make your heart race like that. I can't make any
Hopefully.
promises,
Yeah, I don't
but
know. I don't
we
know.
will see. But yeah, if I were to answer the first question about like one artist for the rest of my life, it would be Kendrick. Like if I could just listen to Kendrick Lamar day in, day out for the rest of my life, I think I would be able to survive.
That's a great choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just feel like as far as hip hop, as far as rappers, like Kendrick's just my guy. Like I could listen to Kendrick all day. I've been listening to Kendrick all day. Like that's my guy. And he's from the
Yeah.
city too, so
Yeah. I hear you. He's a beast. For real.
he
I'm
is
waiting for
a
his
beast.
new stuff. He's been putting out some really good stuff with Keem, baby Keem.
Mm-hmm.
I love that stuff that they've been coming up with. The Hillbillies, that
Mm-hmm.
new stuff. It's very
Mm-hmm.
abstract, but I'm fucking with it. I love it.
Love it as well. But let's go ahead and get started with the podcast itself. The first formal question I usually ask my guests, Joanne, where are you from and how did that shape who you have become and are in the process of becoming?
So I was born and raised Southeast San Diego. 1992, 90s baby.
Gang, gang.
Gang gang, you already know. Um, living in the Southeast, growing up, it was crazy. The Southeast that we see today is nothing like the Southeast I grew up in. Good and bad. Because it was lit. It was lit as fuck back then, but it also was lit as fuck, if you feel me. Like it was too much going on. So it definitely changed who I was as a kid. Early on, I experienced gun violence. My aunt was murdered when I was 11, and she was murdered down the street from my house. So that definitely changed my perspective on life and how just short it is, and how I don't really deal with the violent stuff like that. I'm not really with that. I don't see the point of, you know, especially taking someone's life. Like that's wild. Like you could literally just walk away from them. There's just no point. So that definitely changed me as a kid. um I think your level of innocence, you know, dissipates when you experience that level of trauma. And it wasn't just that, it was over and over. Like I could count on my hands, feet, you know, how many people I've lost to gun violence during that time. People that I cheered with, that played football, that I cheered for, people that I grew up to next to, people that I had crushes on, family, friends. It was bad. So the Southeast that we see now, if you weren't from here, if you just came to San Diego and you're talking about there's not a lot of Black people here, you don't understand how heavy we were. I mean, we used to have parades up and down the street of just us, you know, the Martin Luther King parade with the drums. I could hear the drums from my bedroom. I used to dream of being in that parade, and then I was in that parade as a cheerleader. So it was lit, but it was also a lot of violence. And then with inflation and all that, a lot of us have left San Diego. But I'm still holding it down here. Like I said, I was born and raised here, so this means a lot to me to be here. And I left and I came back, so I'm here to make some changes. Yeah, here to do what I can with what I have. So.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's all we can do is doing what we can with what we have. As you were talking about being from Southeast, I looked back at the last few episodes. I just realized I'm about to have, I think it'll be 4 straight people from San Diego on the podcast, which I never thought would happen. Like actually from San Diego. Because last episode that I recorded, or second last episode I recorded with Christian, he's from Southeast San Diego, and he mentioned a lot of the similar things about like growing up with a lot of gun violence in your neighborhoods. And one, just like putting so much respect on that for himself, and as you put on for yourself, like you're not shying away from where you came from, like you're proud to be from where you're from. And I think that is so important to highlight these stories because, as you know, being a San Diego, when people say San Diego, they're like, oh, La Jolla Shores, let me go to the beach, see a palm tree. And because that's just how it is.
I'm not about to drive all the way over there. Not every day. Every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then for sure. But I remember just being at like UCSD, especially when I first got to San Diego. I had that same thought. I was like, dang, ain't no Black people in this city. Like not a single like Black person live outside this campus. But then once I was able to visit like parts of the Southeast, see different parts of San Diego, see the art scene, get to know people in the community, I was like, all right, y'all got some Black people. Like still ways to go, of course, but there's Black people here, there's community here. More important, real people. Because I feel like when I was in college, I felt like I was around a bunch of like fake people because I was like, y'all aren't real humans. Where the aunties at? Where the backyard barbecues at? Ain't nobody playing dominoes. Everybody just like, oh, y'all want to go to the beach? Like the beach is cool, but not if y'all ain't barbecuing.
Just come to my house. That's crazy. Depends on what beach you go to. I'm over here. And who you go with, because back in the day, you know, I grew up going to the beach a lot. We had a lot of events at the beach, especially my church. So we were there every year, at least once a year.
I love asking people this first question just because you can learn so much about someone in a short period of time by just asking about where they're from, what they think about that. Because I think too often in short conversation and small talk, we'll ask where somebody's from. They'll say San Diego, and then like maybe you'll get a Southeast in there, but you don't really get to hear like how growing up in these neighborhoods impact us. So I definitely appreciate you sharing about like the circumstances you grew up in, the people that have been in your life and have physically left your life due to gun violence, because all these things are just a part of who we are and who we are becoming. And as we think through like Black community in San Diego, do you happen to remember the first time we crossed paths?
I know probably where it was, but I can't remember the exact time. I just know that I saw you a lot. And
That's how it be.
Every time we interacted, we were being goofy. So I just loved your energy. You know, everybody was goofy in that space. So it was just like, I don't know. I can't think of a time where you weren't a part of my life. You know, only when you weren't. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, I know that around 2016, that's when I kind of just met everybody, and you guys have been a part of my life since. So it's like, no, I don't remember the exact time that I met you. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but I don't think of the times that you're not a part of my life. So that's kind of weird. I don't know.
Hey, it'd be like that. I feel like when we're in so many different spaces and meeting so many different artists and people, like you kind of just, like you said, like people are just, yeah, this period of my time, I didn't know y'all. Then after that period of time, I knew all of y'all. I'm pretty sure it was at Caribbean Pleasures down in Bonita. I think that was the first time.
I'm pretty sure too, but I don't know because all of that was a blur. It was like we were there and then we weren't there. But it was lit when we were there. And I don't remember when we actually, like, I know we were in the same space, but I don't know when we actually crossed paths and had like
Mhm.
a conversation where we're like, yeah, we're cool with each other, we're friends. But Caribbean Pleasures, that was a whole vibe. I actually see videos of, what happened back then, either somebody's performance randomly or us doing the electric slide, whatever. And I see who's in there and I'm like, yeah, okay, so we're the OGs, the OGs.
The
Um,
OGs for sure. If you weren't in that back room that felt like the roof is gonna fall on you any moment, I don't know if you can call yourself an OG
right.
because man,
Barely
what a
any
time.
lighting. Or not. Caribbean Pleasures, no shade, no shade. All love. But it was a vibe back there. We had something going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just wild that now we're 7 years into the future. Like what does that even mean that 7 years have passed since then?
I know, right? And all the things that have transpired. And how grown we are now. Like, what the heck? We were kids back then. It didn't seem like it. It seemed like,
I'm still a kid, so
I mean, I'm still a kid too. Somebody said that on TikTok the other day, and I was like, you know what? They were like, I'm only 30. And I was like, I'm only 31. Like, I'm a baby. He was like, I'm a kid. I'm like, I'm a child. Like, I get it. Like, let me be a kid right now. Cause I don't know what's going on with us, but I feel like, did we skip our teen years? Like, were we even teenagers? Like, I don't know why it feels like we just got propelled into like bad knees and the back's aching.
That is.
but let's go ahead and get into the meat of the conversation. Joanne, as I was preparing for this episode, I was realizing just how much you have done and do as a person. I was like, there's no way to just like label you as one thing. So I thought I would give you the task of defining yourself so I didn't have to define it for you. So how do you define yourself as an artist, just in an umbrella sense?
Just as an artist.
Just in general.
Just as an artist, I
I
rock
mean,
with it.
I haven't found anything that feels better than that right now because I want to name the things that I am, but it's like those are all under the art of artistry. So it's like
Mhm.
art, but I'm also a chef, but that's a culinary artist. So it's
It
like
is.
artist. If you find a word that's better, feel free to share it. But I haven't found one that suits me better. Because I don't want to be pigeonholed into one category. Um, so yeah,
Multifaceted.
artist works. I just like to do stuff. It's Earth, and we have like how much time here, so it's like, what all can I do before I'm not here no more? So
Hey, I hear you on that. But for the purposes of our listeners, let's go ahead and list the things that you are doing within artistry. So I'll help you out a little bit. You already mentioned the culinary arts. You are a chef. You are a DJ, which we're going to get to for sure. What else is under the Joanne umbrella? You're a rapper for sure. What else is
yeah,
there?
I love to rap. I love to sing.
Skincare brand.
I do skincare too, but I don't know. I guess you can consider that to be a form of art too, because
Absolutely.
you're mixing recipes. It's pretty much similar to cooking. Um, I also play guitar and drums and ukulele, and kind of the piano, but not really. I wouldn't claim that. But I just love doing anything that I can with my hands. I'm really, really intrigued with architecture.
Mm,
I don't know what it is with that. I haven't been able to explore it the way that I want to because, finances and stuff. So once I have the money, though, I'm definitely going in on some architecture,
mm,
tiny houses, all that stuff. I really like to design like scale models of those. So I see myself like nerding out on that and doing that in the future too.
mm,
But just anything that I kind of just think of things and I'm like, okay, how can I get to that point? Like I can envision it, but I'm like, how can I get to it? And then I kind of just take the steps to get to it. So if it's something that is striking to me. Like if I see a recipe online for a certain dish and I'm like, okay, well, I obviously am gonna make it vegan. That's always my goal. Even though I have eaten meat like recently, I'm not vegan currently. I kind of dip in and out of that. But I mostly cook vegan. Anytime I'm cooking, it's usually vegan. So if I see that recipe and I'm like, okay, I want to make that vegan, I just kind of play with it over and over, and then it just turns into what it is. But yeah, your question was about all the things that I do. I think that's pretty much the gist of it, I hope. I make beats sometimes. I have beats that I've made. I have songs to the beats that I've made that are on YouTube.
You're a mom.
I am a mom. I'm a mom. I love being a mom. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I love it.
But I love it. My little pipsqueak, that little munchkin, that rascal, that rugrat.
A little rugrat. We'll make sure we have some time to talk about your little munchkin a little bit later. I want to go back to a couple of things you've said already. One, you mentioned tiny houses and architecture. Now, I had the opportunity to go to Tiny House Convention when it was in San Diego. I got to like see all the tiny houses. And before you get all sentimental, I hate tiny houses so much. Like I'm not a tiny house fan. Like I understand loving tiny houses, but when I step foot in them tiny houses and my shoulders on both walls, like I'm not with it. Like my head on the ceiling.
Not. No, I'm not here for that either. They be trying to live in the little tiny boxes. I don't want a tiny box. Okay, I have vision. I want it to feel like it's a regular house, but it's all about how you think about each space, because you break up a house by rooms. So each room should feel like something. I'm not just putting everything in one room. That's insane. Like I stand up from my couch and I turn and my toilet's right there. Like absolutely not. That's not what I'm here for. So I feel you. If that's what you saw there, woo, I feel you.
I saw some nice ones that gave me some like, okay, maybe I could do this. But the ones where if I go like this, I got the whole house in my hands, like I'm cool.
Why that song? We got the whole world.
It came in my hand too, but I didn't want the Catholic school in me to show too quickly on the podcast. But as soon as I did that, I did have the jingle playing in my head. So shout out to the old first jingles.
That's crazy. No, I'm not here for that. So I feel you though. I'm not here to convince you or convert you to a tiny house lover, but I do have my reasons for why I am very intrigued.
Yeah, and I know that as someone who follows you on social media, I've seen like some of the tiny house brain and you working with like scale models and just doing the work for your tiny house. So what has led you to want to even think about like tiny house living? Like what was the inspiration behind all that?
Wow. I think I saw it on TV, and I've always been one that's like, I want a fucking clubhouse. I wanted a clubhouse forever. My parents never built me a clubhouse, not complaining. I'm grateful for what they did. But a clubhouse was on my list, a tree house, anything outside and mine, and like just I don't know why I love that. I've always loved that as a kid. And so tiny house to me just felt like it's a fucking clubhouse. But it's an actual house, you know? And then when I started looking into it, I'm like, this is revolutionary to build a tiny house because one, it's on wheels, it's a vehicle. It's not attached to anybody's property. I can move it wherever I want. I can take it wherever I want. I own it. Once I own it, you can't do anything about it unless you just decide to destroy it. Then it's vandalism. Then I could sue you. But other than that, it's on wheels. If I bought it on wheels, it's mine. I could place it anywhere that the law allows. I can, yeah, you don't have to deal with taxes unless you place it somewhere where you have to pay rent. Which my goal would have been to do something that's on my family's land. So then I could strengthen, our wealth and then, help the next generation and not have to fend for anything at all. So I'm like, okay, this is revolutionary. I can put it off grid. I can have my own water system and connect it to like a filtration system of my own, a water catchment system, all that. I can do solar panels. I can do composting toilets, which, hear me out. There's some cool stuff out there. There's many ways to get rid of your waste. So before people freak out, you can burn it. You can throw it away like how we do and dump it somewhere. You can turn it into fertilizer. You can turn it into methane gas. There's so many things. And I'm just like mind blown with all the things that come with the lifestyle of living in a tiny house. So I'm like, okay, how can I apply that to everyday life? Because really the tiny house lifestyle is just homesteading. But it's really like homesteading like a nomad. So you can be anywhere, and you can move it anywhere, and you can avoid having certain fees that you have to pay, permits that you have to pay from the government, from our city, from whatever. Because our city is off the charts. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's off the charts, even with how they've done our tiny house, idea, the concept. They've turned it into ADUs. So now people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to have it built rather than tens of, or $50,000 to have a whole house, and be a homeowner at whatever age, at whatever socioeconomic level. So I think it's a level, I think it's revolutionary to do it. I think that you don't have to go tiny, but the concept of it, taking charge of your AO, as my dad would say, your area of operation. He's a military man, so he uses military terms. So my AO would be self-sustained. That's my goal. A garden, my own water system. We don't have that anymore. We used to have wells, and they want to tax you on everything. They want to control everything. They want to charge you for basic necessities. So it's an act of revolutionary war against our government, our system, and how we're living. So that's why I'm intrigued by it. More than anything. And because it's like a clubhouse. Like, who doesn't want to live in a clubhouse? Come on. That's the coolest thing ever. And the way people build it, it's just so unique and cool. And you don't have to feel boxed in. You can build it to where it feels like an open room in every room. Just build it a certain way. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer to why I'm interested in that.
Hey, no, I rock with it. I think that the point that I'll just continuously stick on with tiny houses is I definitely have seen where I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel like tiny. Like, this is just a modular house that you've built and constructed in a way that works for you. Yeah. I'm a tourist, Joanne. You know this. I'm gonna get too far ahead with the modular. I'm gonna have 72 rooms in my tiny house.
I see. I know.
It's gonna be bigger than where I live now, and then it's not a tiny house.
It's all about how you build it, how you design it, and if you're I'm interested in not having a giant carbon footprint. And if I do build a mansion, it's going to be something that works in tandem with the ecosystem. So like a living roof, living walls that have, herbs and all types of stuff growing out of it. That's also good for insulation. It's good for insulating your house, but it's also good for giving back to the planet and giving back to the environment that you're, taking over. Because when you knock down that tree or you put that asphalt on that ground, you're covering bugs and other things that are tilling the earth, constantly creating soil for us. You're covering that land that could be houses for the animals and the insects and creatures and things that thrive right there. So I want to give back to it. And if I can do it in a way that doesn't harm the planet, which we can build houses in ways that don't harm the planet. The materials we use, not concrete, you can use hempcrete or, things like that. You can really, take charge of how we design our homes so that it doesn't, harm our planet, all the chemicals and things like that that's in the building equipment. I'm trying not to ramble, but I know that
Nah, go for
where
it.
I'm going with it. There's so many things that you can do that's different. If you build a mansion, you know, you can build it to where it's still eco-friendly and we care about the environment.
Hey, I'm with it. You've definitely been someone who's been on a sustainability wave ever since I've known you. You've been talking about growing our own food and sustainable practices, feeding into the ecosystem and our environment. So duly noted, if I ever consider doing a tiny house, I'll have this conversation in my head. I'll just have to make sure there's a room for the 85-inch TV in the tiny house and the movie theater and all that. Sustainable 85-inch TV listeners, don't shade me.
I'm sure it can be done.
Because I'm just imagining myself in one of those tiny houses, the Laker game about to come on. I need the big ass. The TV gonna be one of the walls at this point in a tiny house.
Yeah, but see, you can have a whole tiny house dedicated to just your, you know, basketball room. Get
Clubhouse
a little
vibes.
24-foot trailer and deck it out, just laker it up, and it's just for you, like a man cave. And, you know, just have your own space right there. That's what's cool about it. You can just add on to it. You don't have to have it all in the same house. You can walk, you know, have a deck that connects it and walk to your room and go watch the Lakers undisturbed or, you know, not bothered by anybody.
Hey, you speaking my language, undisturbed, not bothered by anybody. I'm with it.
1000%.
But thank you for taking us to Tiny House Corner. I haven't talked about tiny houses in so long. I feel like it was like a big phenomenon and no one talks about tiny houses anymore. So it's cool to revisit that part of society, that part of the 2020s, 2010s. Something else that you mentioned as you're talking about like growing up in San Diego, you mentioned leaving San Diego. Was that when you went to college?
Yeah, I went to LA, East LA.
I'm gonna need you to hold on. Hold on a second. Because I was going to pause when you said LA like that. Then I saw the look that you gave when you said East LA and then look to the side. If I was on this podcast talking about Southeast San Diego, then you would be on my head. Don't come for East LA.
No, East LA, because LA is fire. I lived in East LA, okay? Wasn't nothing going on over there. It was either every spot that I was in was dedicated to a culture that I'm, you know, not necessarily familiar with, which I have no problem with.
Yeah.
It's lit for them, okay? It's lit for me when I go over there and join them. But it's East LA, bro. Like, have you been in East LA?
Yes, I've been to East LA.
Okay, where are my people? Like, what are we doing? Where are the spots? What am I doing here? Okay, unless I go to WeHo or Hollywood or, you know, just I gotta step out. And driving there depends on what time of day. Okay, I may not make it there. I love LA though, don't get me wrong. There's so many things about LA that's unique. There's so many things to do. I have no qualms with LA, but I lived in East LA and everything is over there when you live in East LA.
I feel that. It was just a look on your face when you said it. I was like, nah, I can't let you talk about my city like that.
LA
I done gave you
lit.
all this time to talk about San Diego.
No, he's not from East LA.
No,
Where
I'm
you
from
from?
South Central Los Angeles.
Okay. See, you know how much traffic I gotta drive in to get to South Central. And I used to canvas in South Central, by the way. I had a little canvas job for 2 seconds. I'm not doing that ever again, especially near USC. That's where I was on Figueroa. They said Figueroa. It was too much going on over there. That's what they said. I did not say that. I did not say that. Okay. But it was a lot of action going on over there and canvassing on foot in East LA. And I'm a young Black girl by myself. Not the greatest idea.
Hey, I hear you.
Too live. It was like walking through the Southeast.
Okay.
It was like walking through the Southeast.
Point taken. But you said you went to Cal State LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you studied Africana studies, if I remember correctly.
You could say that. We call it Pan-African Studies because it's really centered on everybody that's attached to the African diaspora. But yes, African studies, Africana studies, Pan-African studies, Black studies, all of it.
And what do you feel like you gained out of studying Pan-African studies? I know that's something that you've talked about, whether it was when you were at UCSD's event, when we officially announced our major, you were talking about the importance of you being able to study that. So what was that experience like? Because I feel like too often when people are talking about like majors, it's always like, oh, well, how's that going to make you money? Or what's that major important for? And I know you got that before. So what was it like being a Pan-African studies major?
I have to say, I get that still to this day. What do you plan to do with that? Yeah, that's great that you did that. So what do you plan on doing? Like, I'm doing it. I'm already implementing what I plan to do after I learn what I learned in college, which is Black, liberation, starting a business and creating jobs, and just tapping into our wealth and dispersing it amongst ourselves a little bit more. All that came into that. So being a Pan-African Studies major, a lot of people were like, they were confused. They were really concerned about where the money was going to come in. Not necessarily my family, because they were proud of me for going to college. They were already very Afro-centered. So I grew up very Black. My mom never got me any colored doll but Black. My books were Black. The artwork in the house was Black. I went to the Kumba Fest. I was a Kumba kid. So I've been a part of the Kumba Fest since I was 11, or however, it was a long time. So I've been a part of a lot of Black things. So being in Black studies made a lot of sense to my family. But when I talked to people outside of my family, they were like, okay, well, what do you plan to do with it? So I'm like, all right. Going through the major itself, it was life-changing. I already had been exposed to a lot of Black things before and a lot of Black history, but actually, delving into it a little bit deeper with my professors and being exposed to people who have been a part of movements like Black Panthers and stuff. We met Black Panthers. I met Angela Davis, Cornel West. I've met Ava DuVernay. I've met Erica Huggins, Hank Jones. I've met Kathleen Cleaver, Eldridge Cleaver's wife. I've met a lot of people. They probably don't remember me, but I definitely remember the impact that they had on me being there. Amiri Baraka, poet. I met a lot of people that were revolutionary and transformative, and hearing their stories and learning the material, it showed me that I had to do something. I couldn't just take all of this information in and go back to whatever regular life I was living before that. I had to do something different. And what spoke to me the most, I think, towards the end of my, maybe my whole senior year, I was on this health kick. I had already been trying to lose weight, and I was pretty much a gym rat in college. I was in the gym all the time, seeing no results because I was, my eating habits were what they were. And I started learning about the food industry in college, and how basically there's a system where they take certain foods and they distribute it to communities based off of their socioeconomic levels. So if I have produce that's been, it's almost spoiling or on the verge of spoiling, I may send it to the poor or the Black and brown communities, their schools, their grocery stores, and send the better produce to the areas that are, more white or more affluent. And so learning that, it was shocking. It was like, damn, the food, it's one thing to have, chattel slavery all that time. And then now we're trying to liberate ourselves and we're feeling like, okay, we have a little something. I'm going to college, we're all in the same room together. Like all these things that feel like we've made strides moving forward, and then to find out they're doing shit covertly that we have no idea about. So that's all that stuck out to me when I was in college. Like, they're messing with our food, they're messing with our air, our water. And like, the more that I learned, the more I started to feel like I was separating myself from other people, because not because I'm personally separating myself, but because I'm thinking so critically about all the things that are happening, all the systems that have been implemented that people aren't thinking about on a regular basis. I'm starting to speak a foreign language to people now. I'm like, I've learned this in college, I learned this and that. And they're like, where's the credibility? I'm like, I learned this in college. Like, I read this in this book. I learned this on, and I'm trying to give people information. And when I came out of college, I'm raw and full of emotions. So I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. And like, people are like, girl, what are you talking about? And I'm just losing my shit. And I'm like, oh my God, like, they're doing all these things to us and nobody cares. And it's not that people don't care, it's how the system works. People are caught up in their job. They have bills to pay, they have mouths to feed, they don't have time for themselves, they have no self-care time. So it's like, shit, if they can't care about it, I have to. Like, I have to make it my life's mission to care about it, because other people don't have the freaking time to. And it's not even by choice. So I don't even know what question we were on anymore. I just kind of went into this. But I have a strong passion for all the things that I've taken from Pan-African studies and learned about what they've done to us as a people, and not just here in America, but globally, Pan-African, everybody of the African diaspora. So it's our job and our duty for those of us who've learned about that stuff to spread the information, or if you can't spread it by just talking to people, implement something that can change. And that's what I'm trying my freaking best to do.
Hey, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Because as someone who has an African American Studies minor, I definitely resonate with what you said, where it's like you get exposed to all this information, you get out of college trying to share what you learn with people, and then it's just like like you say, you're speaking a foreign language. Or on the other side of that, like you said, the system's working as how it's supposed to work, which is why people don't have time to learn about or talk about these things. And then it's like, wait, y'all knew this the whole time? Like, why didn't nobody tell me when I was growing up that this is what capitalism was, this is what the system was? Because the more and more that you learn about the history of oppression that Black folks have experienced in this country and beyond, there's just so many different layers to it. And so I thank you for just sharing all that you learned and some of the frustrations with translating that for people, because I think that's all built into why when you tell somebody you have African studies major, African American studies major, Pan-African major, they're like, oh, what job can you get with that? It's like, what job can't I get with this knowledge that I have?
Right. I could do anything. I already could do anything, but it's like, I can really do anything. Anyone can do anything. So it's
absolutely.
Who cares about a job? A job. Like, yeah, we need money because we have to have money, but you can do anything for money. You can create a job out of thin air. You really don't have to go get a job. You don't have to go to college to get a job. You can create a job in any capacity.
Absolutely. Which is a good segue as well to start talking about some of the things that you do to keep food and vegan food on the table. One of the reasons why I like starting the podcast with so much background is because I feel like, especially in your case, as someone who DJs, like a lot of times you're just the person behind the turntable. Like maybe you'll get a chance on the mic to say a little something, plug yourself. But how often do we get to hear more about DJ stories? Like I could have listened to you DJ an event 72 times and never know that you were a Pan-African Studies major. So I think it's really cool to kind of go behind the turntables, learn a little bit more about you. And I think that there's no better place to start this part of the conversation without asking, and of course I know the answer to this, but I got to do the podcast thing and ask for the listeners. How did you come up with the moniker DJ AlmondEyez?
So I'm really glad that you asked that, because it means a lot to me to answer. I obviously have almond-shaped eyes. Growing up, looking the way that I do, I had very interesting experiences. So I felt like I got bullied a lot. I can't say that I was bullied, but in my opinion, I feel like I was bullied. Looking back and reflecting, there were just many moments and instances where my eyes were brought up, and it was in a negative manner. I got teased a lot by guys that lived on my block and by people at school. So growing up and coming to my own, I had a hard time loving myself, and then loving myself later. I'm like, I love this thing about me. I love my eyes, I love my gap. I've always heard things about, different things, different features, but these are things that I want to embrace. So um I was trying to think of a DJ name. I actually thought of a really dope name after DJ AlmondEyez, and I gave it to my cousin, and it's okay, he can have it. It's a great name. But um I don't know when it was that I was just like, yeah, that's it. But I know that this is something that's stuck out to a lot of people about me. I've always been the girl with the chinky eyes, the girl with the Chinese black girl, whatever people come up with. And so I'm like, that is something that's unique about me. It's something that I felt made me, it kind of separated me at times. People didn't let me say that I was black. People would be like, oh, you're mixed. I'm like, I'm black though. Like I'm mixed, but I'm black. Like I don't, go by mixed. That's weird. So that's my ode to myself. I love myself. I'm a black woman. She said something, so it kind of threw me off. But yeah, I'm a black woman. I love my eyes. I love myself. So Almond Eyes just came to me, and I feel like I'm proud to wear that because it was something that was tough for me at one point. So here it is. Long answer. All these long answers. It's so long.
Hey, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
This is a long form content. It's supposed to give long answers.
Okay.
You mentioned your cousin's a DJ, your sister DJ, your dad DJ. How did you get started as a DJ, and why everybody in your family DJ?
So my dad is the original guy in the family that DJ'd. He started decades ago. He met my mom DJing her Sadie Hawkins dance.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so he's been DJing for a very long time. And it wasn't towards college that my dad was really pushing, like, you guys should DJ. Talking to me and my sister. I'm like, okay, dad. Like, he's always trying to get us to do something. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at him, practice and stuff. I'm like, I already am familiar with music. I'm already, at that time, a musician. And I've already been familiar with playing the guitar and the ukulele and things like that. So, and I grew up, just doing music in general. So I knew a lot of songs, but I didn't see myself being a DJ. I'm like, how am I going to know how many songs? Like, am I going to have enough songs? Am I going to know when to play the right song? And so just watching my dad, he really felt confident in teaching me and my sister. And he actually wouldn't let us touch anything but turntables. So I actually learned on classic turntables, vinyl, everything. That's how I started off DJing. And he said, until we learn how to do that, we wouldn't move to the more modern version of basically what I have now. So I started doing that in the garage at my parents' house. This was I was probably in college at the time. I started college 2010, so maybe around then I started taking him a little more serious and listening to him more. And I had my own setup in LA. So my college apartment, I think it was my sophomore year or my junior year, I started practicing more, and I had moved over to electronic by then. We had been good enough, I guess, to move over. So I don't know. I started liking that I could actually do transitions. I could hear the sounds. Um, I have a, I would say I have a very strong ear for music. I also been trained as a musician, so it just felt like it was a natural flow. Um, and I started playing with it more and realizing that okay, maybe I do know the songs. And I landed my first gig um in 2013 at Tina's. I don't know if you know what Tina's is.
Mhm.
For those who are from the Southeast, and when you hear Tina's, I know they're laughing because Tina's, it was one of those old folk joints
Mhm.
where they, get ratchet. Like I said, the old folks joints getting ratchet.
I was young.
You young but old. I'm just kidding. Um, but that was the time. Tina's was the time for those who know. Tina's is like 94 is like no, not 94.
It probably was wrong.
Like
That
in
was like
city
2010.
is more like in city. Tina's.
Oh, you're describing the club.
Yeah, the club. For those who are watching who may be familiar with those spaces, it's for the older folks, okay?
But the young people don't.
I was way too young to be a part of that crowd, but for some reason, I had them going. And they had me come more than once. I took over a gig for my dad. And from then on, that it just kept happening. I kept coming back to Tina's. I would do a little set or I would do it for the night for my dad. And then it just kept happening. I kept getting booked for different things. And it's so funny thinking about it because my little setup that I had was just so burnt out, but it really was just what I needed for the time. But yeah, it just transpired from there. And yeah,
Here we are.
here we are.
Here we are. And so, since Tina's, you've obviously done a lot of DJing events. Some of the UCSD folks who listen to this will definitely recognize you because for a while you was damn near the resident DJ of UC San Diego, kind of like an honorary Trident. What has it been like DJing at UCSD? I don't even remember when's the first time you DJ'd at UCSD. I just remember there was some event. It was like, we need a DJ. I was like, oh, I met a DJ like not too long ago.
I remember the first time I DJed at UCSD. It was Flexing My Expression.
That was your first time DJing? Was flexing? Oh, I'm a legend. Okay.
You're a legend. You put me on. You
legend.
put me on the UCSD so tough. It's crazy. I feel like I owe you a check.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not gonna say no if you do feel like you owe me a check,
You're a
but
tourist. That face you made. They say, hold on now, if you want to run me one.
Mm.
But yeah, Flexing My Expression was the first one. Geez, I think me and Ardis DJ, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the very first time. I think after that, I got a booking. And it was lit. It was on and popping from then on. That's crazy. But yeah, that was the time. That Flexing My Expression event was lit. It was huge.
It
I
was
think that was
huge.
one of the largest crowds that I had DJ'd in front of too at the time.
Dang, let me pat myself on the back for
keep
for
patting.
flexing.
Keep patting, because one of the largest crowds that I had performed for ever at the time was UCSD because of the graduation. That was the largest crowd I've ever seen.
Dang, you've done some events. So you did graduation. Didn't you do that one event where like Michelle Obama was like giving like a live stream like speech or something?
That was also the that was the graduation, wasn't it?
No, it was a different event. It was like some
Oh,
type
it was
of
like a college welcome.
It was a college access event.
Yes. Yeah, that was lit. That was lit. I still can't believe I was up there. I was like, you're really paying me to be up here? I didn't even play that long.
You didn't, but hey, I remember those earlier events because we'd be like negotiate, like, nah, like charge your price. Like this is a big old university in La Jolla. Like they can pay you what you're worth. Because I would tell people your rates and they'd be like, that's it. I'm like, wait, let me text Joanne real quick. They said
when you told me to raise it up, I said, are you sure? Is he serious? Raise it up. I
hey,
would
it
have
was
never
not my
been to what
money.
it is now. That's crazy. And I actually keep that as the standard now for any university that I do. So
As you should.
it
As you
probably
should.
should be more, but I'm gonna leave it where it is for now. I'm not trying to get too crazy, but I'm very grateful.
Hey, I feel that. But I think that was a time in my life where I was really understanding what power I did have, because you brought up like studying like Pan-African studies and how you have this knowledge, what can you do with it? And it's like whatever I can that I have access to. And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't know how to save every Black artist in San Diego, but if I have an opportunity to pay them, like let's get it popping.
Yes, and you've been putting people on, Kyler. You've been doing the damn thing. You've always been making big moves and putting people in and plugging people in. You've been plugging me, my sister, Ashley. You plugged us in just as Black Girl Magic, and then to be plugged in as a DJ too. I felt like I damn near went to UCSD.
Hey, you part of the Trident community for sure. Like
Sure, honorarily.
people still be asking. They be like, "Oh, where they DJ AlmondEyez at?" I was like, "Oh, just hit her up this her email address if you want her to DJ."
Yeah, and they just hit me up too for December, so I have a gig
See,
coming.
we are on. What types of events that you DJ are like your favorite types of events to DJ? Like, is it weddings? Is it more like a club atmosphere? What's your favorite type of event to DJ?
Mm, weddings if it's only the reception.
Okay.
If they have me do the ceremony, I mean, I'm gonna do it obviously, but it's a little bit more pressure. Like I was gonna go off just now, but I was like, somebody's watching, so let me be gentle because it's not. It has nothing to do with them, the people that are booking me. It has everything to do with the tension that surrounds a wedding.
Mm,
So it's like I don't want to be involved with that. Like I'm just the DJ. And sometimes people take out their frustrations on the DJ. So like they're blowing my phone up. Where are you? Are you on the way? I'm like, bro, I take 10 minutes to set up. Like, I'm literally down the street. Calm down. Like, so weddings are tense, but the reception, when people are letting loose, they got the drinks flowing. I get some food. Like, it's lit. I can't have no complaints. It's for me the reception of a wedding, regular house party, like
mm,
a classic, especially I can't say Black people because I've been to house parties for every culture. I've been to Mexican house parties lit as fuck. Okay, I'm gonna be eating. They're gonna. Do you need some more tequila? No, I don't need no more tequila. Please don't give me no more tequila. They gonna make sure I'm taken care of. Black people gonna make sure I'm taken care of at a house party. Okay, and it's not just about me. It's really about the fact that it feels like I'm at my family's house. You know,
mm.
I'm a part of the family too. So usually those type of private events where people they're undignified, they're not sitting there, you know, trying to be uptight. It's not a tense event. It's not a banquet hall event. You know, it's just down home fun. Those are my fave. And then of course club events. Come on now. Of course club events. That's not the top of the list, but it's up there. Cause come on, it's a whole vibe when it's at the club.
Hey, all I took from that is that the banquet hall events are your favorite type of events because we are at the banquet hall right now digitally. So I'll take that as the banquet
You
hall,
just
my
getting me,
banquet
you
hall.
getting at my throat. Not that kind of banquet hall. Cause this is undignified. I don't have to, I'm not sitting there in a suit and tie convention and I gotta be quiet. They want me to play the music in the background every now and then. We're not turning up. No Too Shorts being played. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
One of the things I want to make sure that we had some space to talk about, I feel like a lot of people, they don't really respect the craft of being a DJ. Like people think that you're just pressing buttons on a laptop or choosing songs, or you probably get a lot where like, oh, I know how to DJ. I know this song flows with this song. So what do you have the microphone. What do you wish people respected more about the art and craft of being a DJ? Like the hard parts of being a DJ, the parts that don't get as much love. Give us some insight into the life of being a DJ.
Okay, Kyler. Wow, chill. You open a can of worms. Yeah, heavy on what you just said. People really think as soon as they hear me DJ, they see me up there, it's like, oh, I can DJ. And then they definitely, a lot of people think that they have better song choices than me. So there's always that one person that walks up with their phone. Either they just show it to me, or they keep coming back up. Hey, I know you heard this. We about to get them going with this one. It's all types of ways that
Like
people
y'all
come
together.
Huh? You said what?
They come up to you like y'all together, like it's a team effort.
Like we planned this. And I appreciate song requests because I want to know what you guys want to hear. Especially, I don't mind people doing my job for me. Okay, you want to hand me a whole playlist? Sure, I'm fine with that. However, when you think that your song choices are better than mine, and you're like kind of stalking my turntable, like, oh, can you play this and this and this? And then if I don't play it at a certain time, or if I don't play it when they want to hear it, then it becomes a thing. Like, that's the thing. I've had people throw money at me and a whole song list and expect to hear every song because they gave me the money and the song list. I appreciate the song list. Thank you for the tip. I'll get to a song or two. But I'm the facilitator for this evening. I'm saying that with all the love in my heart, but I'm booked for this. So let me do my job. But there's been a lot of weird things that have occurred as a DJ. I'm not afraid of requests. I love requests. I love when people come up and interact with me. But people get a little wild, especially when they've had drinks. It gets crazy. But yeah. What was the question again? I don't want to veer.
Pet peeves about being a DJ, hard parts about being a DJ, just whatever you feel like people need to know more about life as a DJ.
Okay, I'm also a female DJ. So being in an industry where it's male dominated, you have a lot of guys that either they used to DJ, they DJ now in the house, and they familiar with a little something. Sometimes they'll come up and like literally be in the booth, like come into the booth uninvited and just stare at what I'm doing, or, oh yeah, what are you working with? Or ask me questions to see if I'm knowledgeable of my equipment or my software programming. Well, what kind of board or system are you using? If you're not using Serato, like, what are you doing? Like, just the questions, the banter, the conversations. A lot of people will be like, a lot of people that are DJs that want to kind of let people know in the space that they're a DJ. They weren't booked for the event, but they want you to know that they're also a DJ. They'll come up and, oh, I used to, it's certain things that are just like, okay, people are just funny. It's not necessarily a pet peeve. They're just burnt out for it. They're burnt the hell out for it. But yeah, my biggest pet peeve is when guys, not because I can't say women, because it's not a lot of women that are in this industry, so it's not a sexist thing, but it's just a thing that happens with a lot of the guys that I work with. They assume that I don't know what I'm doing, or they assume that I need all this extra help. Like, I was fumbling around with a cord one time trying to get it in to the slot, but I was also thinking of something else and doing something else, so I wasn't really, paying attention. And someone came up and asked me, "Do you need help?" Like I appreciate it, but absolutely not. Like, I can do this with my eyes closed. I really don't need help. I know what I'm doing. And as a woman, sometimes people come off where, yeah, they're being helpful, and I appreciate that. But then other times it's condescending, and I really don't like that. I know what I'm doing. I'm knowledgeable of what I'm doing. And I don't need anyone to micromanage me and do anything like that. Not to rant on, but
Hey, no one likes a
no,
micromanager.
I'm looking at you because there's been an incident recently where somebody did that and they were just really micromanaging me like it was my first gig. I'm like, I've been DJing for 10 years. I really I think I know what I'm doing right now.
Right.
This present day. Not being braggadocious, but I think I know what I'm doing today.
Yeah, you're the expert in the room. Stand on your stuff. But thank you for giving us insight into life as a DJ. I wanted to touch on a few other areas that you are as an artist before we get to the tail end of the podcast. Going back to you as a rapper, folks who have been to open mics in the city or seen you perform, they've seen you cypher, they've seen you spit bars. We used to call you DJ Almond Bars for a minute. I still have some of your music in my rotation. Especially depending on what type of mood I'm in. Like, what's one of the later ones? I'm just trying to get paid with Reed Blues. I feel that song so much. I'm like, man, especially after a long day at work, I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get paid.
Yes,
please get the fuck out my way.
Please. Oh my God.
But what made you want to start rapping and being a lyricist?
Oh my God, this is a story. It's so funny reflecting on that because I used to be so shy about rapping. I thought my voice was terrible. So I'm basically Issa Rae on Insecure and Awkward Black Girl the series. Like that is me 1,000%. It's my life, I swear. I've been writing rap lyrics for forever, you know. I started off writing poetry as a kid. So in college, I don't know what it was, but one day I was like, I think I could rap. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna explore that. But I explored it secretly. So I was like writing rap secretly in my room and spitting it in the mirror. And I'm like, I don't know about this because I sound like it was my talking voice at the time. It just did not sound right. It sounded crazy. So I used to kind of just do it in the bathroom of my apartment, like deep in my room. My bathroom is like the deepest you can go in my room. So I would be in the bathroom. No one could hear me spitting like what little bars I had in the corner on the toilet, just trying to, see if I could rap. I'm like, I really feel like I could rap. I really feel like I could write some bars. So I started doing it more and more, and then I started sharing it with my girlfriend at the time. And I didn't feel confident enough to, do that in front of her. It wasn't until I moved back home after I graduated college in 2015 that I started working in the studio a lot more. I had already been in the studio writing songs, recording songs. I've been doing that since I was in high school, or middle school, actually. I started on Cubase. Anybody who's a producer, if you know, I started with Cubase, and then we moved to GarageBand, and then I moved to Logic, and that's where I'm at now. But yeah, I started practicing more on the mic, and I was like, you know what? I can rap. I don't care what anybody says. I know I can rap. So 2015 was like this weird year where I was just in the studio every day, just trying to do something. And that's when all my SoundCloud songs started popping up. So I was in there with my cousin Jerron. He's a rapper too. He had a group called The Dudes. And so why not? Saying it out loud, like, no, it was tight. It was tight. Cool. It was tight. No, don't do them like that.
No, I rock with it. It's just so chill. I'm like, yeah, The Dudes. Like, I would listen to The Dudes.
The Dudes. No, that's shit. It was Dudes with a Z too.
Oh, I already knew it was with a Z. How you said it?
No, but we used to be in the studio all the time. Just they would make beats or work on beats, and I would rap with them. It was him and my cousin Jerron and his friend Desmond, and you know, damn, it actually started before that. I'm lying. I was rapping in high school. Me and my high school friends did a song called Tasty Cakes, right? Don't judge.
With a Z?
It was like Tasty Cakes. And you would like jerk, you know, the jerking movement was lit back then. So you do a little jerk dance with it. Don't hate. Yep. The elbows up. But yeah, we did that song back then. I didn't actually connect those dots, but I did record. I recorded whole ass raps back then. I just did not connect those dots. I have a song that I wrote in 8th grade called Welcome to the Cell Life. And it was for biology class, obviously. And it was to Welcome to the Good Life. The whole beat. It's a whole song. Chorus, I know it by heart too. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I have it on my old ass iPod Nano. It's on my iPod Nano.
I need to hear it.
So I was rapping back then. I think I didn't take it serious, like I could spit bars like a dude. Like, you know. I keep saying dude, and like I don't mean to be like, it's not sexism because women spit bars too, but I like, for some reason I just didn't think, I don't know, I wasn't taking rap that serious. I was more trying to be a singer. So when I moved back home, I started recording songs. I started recording songs on my own and then with the dudes. And we have some songs on YouTube right now. Actually, you can find it on there now. She's gonna look it up. But yeah,
I already got YouTube open too.
From then on, I just kept doing. It was more like, it wasn't publicized that much because people didn't take me that serious back then. So I would post my SoundCloud song and I'd be like, "Yeah, I did my SoundCloud song," and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." And I get a sprinkle of, you know, reactions, and it was cool. And then it wasn't until I started doing the open mics that I'm like, okay, I really feel like I could rap. Like I felt like a solid, like I want to pursue trying to do a song or trying to do an album or a mixtape. And then it just went from there. I guess that's why are these answers so long-winded? It is a podcast. They're supposed to be long.
It is a podcast.
But I'm like, I don't want to lose my train of thought or where I'm going with this.
Hey, that's what I said. I'm the host. I got the train of thought going at all times. I did look up "Everything Is Great" by DJ AlmondEyez and the Dudes, and it came up. So
stop. Just run up on me, then you'll get to work like LA Fitness.
bars, son.
And keep the doozy lit. I got goals and ambitions, nigga. I want all of it. Health, wealth, and knowledge, and I spread it to the world and shit.
Woo! I love it. I love it.
Never see I walk past you. They pay attention like they pass dues. That's my favorite line. That's one of my favorite lines that I've spit. But that's cringy as hell at the same time, because that voice that was coming out, like, what is that?
Hey, we all got our start when it comes to the lyricism, the art, all of that. So I appreciate you giving us a snapshot into DJ Almond Bars, the rapper. There was a point in time for the listeners, if y'all wonder why I keep calling DJ Almond Bars, I forget what you performed at Black Expression, but you performed something. And then for the next like 6 months after, I would just tag you in like Almond Joy Candy Bars on Facebook, because it's like, man, she got bars, and we just start naming different candy bars. What a time, right. What a time. Do you have a favorite?
Name.
No, I like DJ AlmondEyez for sure. But do you have a favorite song or project that you've put out or been a part of?
Wow, that I've been a part of.
Is it Face the Wall, shawty?
Ha! That is cringy, okay? Because my dad posted that and I did not approve that post. So it's cringe. Like, I did not name that song that. And he won't take it down. And it's one of my top songs. Like, get off there. It's cringy. I think my favorite project, um, it's probably my current one because it's the one that I actually put the most energy into. I actually went to a studio. I paid a producer to produce my vocals. I, paid for the artwork. Me and my girlfriend worked on that. Um, all of it, the production was just better. It was better quality. My first album, I did everything myself. So it's like, I'm still proud of that because it sounds how it sounds, but I did it and I'm proud of it. It's not available online. I need to put it back up there. But my current project is my baby. All of my projects are my babies. I can't do I have a favorite song? Sonically, everybody loves I'm the Captain. I love I'm the Captain too. Obviously, well, because I wrote it. I love that song. But Slide on a Late Night is probably sonically my favorite song on the album because I feel like everything production wise and just the sound that it is, I was really going for like a Cali West Coast, type of vibe, type of song. I had like Blast in mind and like yeah, it just that's probably my favorite song because I feel like that's the song that would have been the one if any song, if they picked the song, if they whoever picked the song to like blow up, that would be the one. But I really do, I love the concept of trying to get paid and how it came to me. Because it was really inspired by another song. It was inspired by Sad Girls Love Money by Kali Uchis, and I can't pronounce her name. I think it's Amare. I don't want to get it wrong, but they say in the song, "Get the fuck out of my way, I'm trying to get paid." Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my shit right there. And the whole song feels like an anthem to me. So I was like, man, that's really what I'm on right now. I'm just trying to fucking get paid. I'm just trying to make some money. I'm just trying to live, like. And that concept stuck with me, and it really turned into a song. And I love that I can recall like the whole process of it. Like it really was something that was inspiring to me and then turned into something else. So those two were probably my faves for the long answer that I'm giving you.
If you reference long answers one more time. But now trying to get paid, that's on every playlist just because it's like I feel that. Especially with Bree say, like, I'm making moves, bitch, get out my way. I'm like, yes.
Yes. She went hard on that verse. She went hard, yes.
Yeah, shout out to Bree Blues.
Shout out to Bree Blues. That song is lit. I loved having her on it too.
Absolutely. So listeners, make sure y'all tap in with DJ AlmondEyez on different listening platforms. We'll get to where they can find you in a bit. But I know that we're running a little short on time. I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. So I want to touch on a couple more pieces of you as an artist and as a creative. We'll get into some quick hitter questions and then we'll get on out of here. So first things first, skincare, hair care. When I first met you, before I knew you were a DJ, before I knew you were a rapper, you were Black Mantra. You had the skincare products, and I'll never forget, because I used to always tell people all the ingredients in them. It's like, you can eat this if you want. I was like, I'm not about to eat my shea butter. What the hell? But he was like, you could if you want to.
You could.
I know you always say you could, and I always respected that. And I think that what made your marketing so great for this is because obviously you look at your skin and your hair. I was like, okay, it obviously works for you. So let me see what the shea butter talking about. But why is skincare and hair care so important for you, and what made you want to start making your own products?
Right. So it kind of ties back into what we talked about earlier with my degree and things like that. I started paying attention to what I was putting in my body more. And then of course naturally that makes me wonder what I'm putting on my body. So it was around 2014. No, it was prior to that actually in college. Me and my college roommate were experimenting with different skin stuff. Um, and I have to get personal because that's the reason why I come up with some of the stuff that I come up with. I was a little sweaty, like just, I want to be a little fresher throughout the day. Like, being a college student, you're walking around campus all day long, just sweaty. And I just wanted to know, like, if there's anything I could do about, being sweaty in certain regions that I just didn't want to be sweaty in all day. Like, and my roommate had mentioned something. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I wonder if I could, being the weirdo that I am, I'm like, I wonder if I could put this here. I wonder if I could use that there. And I started experimenting with my power to the P formula. And I also at the time was working on my face. So I was using raw honey, and my roommate was using coffee scrub. That was my first time hearing about coffee scrub. I'm like, you can rub coffee on your face? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what? So I went down a rabbit hole. I'm on YouTube. I'm looking up everything. We didn't have Pinterest at the time. So it was just YouTube. And I was like, what all can I put on my face that's like, food and natural? Because you can rub coffee and it does what? It increases your collagen. It beautifies and brightens and tones your skin. It removes dark spots. I'm like, what the hell, coffee? So I'm like, that's really interesting. So I look into that. I'm like looking at the ingredients that's in the package that she showed me. And I'm like, I didn't know that you could use these things on your skin too. So then from there, I'm like, okay, what else can I use on my skin? So I looked up honey. um, I came across honey. I found out that honey cleans out your pores. I'm like, okay, cleans out my pores. All right, let me try it. So I'm using honey on my face. I have honey and coffee in my bathroom in my college apartment. And I'm just experimenting with stuff at the time. And it's starting to work. Like I used to actually have breakouts often. I would break out really bad. Me, my mom, and my sister have acne prone skin. I have less oily skin, but my sister and my mom have oily skin. So they've always had acne issues. And I had acne issues in college. And skin issues too. I used to get these little bumps on the back of my arms. And I was using Dove and other soaps. And not to get too personal, but I just noticed things about my body, scents, things like that, that just, if I change soap, this happens. If I use this happens. And I'm wondering if I can do something about that. Then I find out about oils. Like, oh, I could put oils on my skin. I could put oils here. I could put oils there. I'm like, oh, okay. So I came up with my own concoctions, and I've been doing that my whole life, creating concoctions and stuff and just using it and seeing what it does. But at the time it worked. I'm like, okay, I use what I call my power to the P. It's an intimate deodorant. I actually have some literally right here.
Okay, product placement.
This has no label though, because I'm working on new products. So I have some stuff coming out. I have here she goes. I have something here. I'll pull it out. But in the meantime, I have a lot of things here, actually. Maybe it's not right here. This is my power to the P. So right now you see it has flowers in it. I don't know if you can see it. I'm upgrading the bottles and just the overall look of it because I don't want to limit myself anymore. I said I was going to just keep it local, but I might want to expand. But this product, I was like, what kind of deodorant can I use in my other areas that will keep me fresh? I know it sounds crazy to just talk about it, but we all want to feel that way, At the end of the day, if somebody wants to run up on me and kiss me or whatever, or be in my intimate space, I don't want to be funky. Okay, nobody does. So this started working. I was like, what the hell? So from then on, it just transpired into more and more. When I came home from college, my parents were urging me to get a job, and I was like, no. I have visions of doing other things, and I have an idea about a skincare line. I'm like, people are always talking about if you take away something from them, like if I take away the idea that all the things that you use on your skin right now are unhealthy and toxic for you, I have to give you something in return so that you can not be lost and like, oh, what the hell am I going to do if I, stop using that stuff? So I wanted to be a source to help you transition. I really wasn't seeing myself as being the only source, but just a source. So it transpired into an actual skincare line. And I remember doing trials with my family. I had a mask, I had scrubs, and I started, getting them to try it. I have pictures and actual, content of them trying it back then and just seeing what worked. And they all liked everything. Everything, I mean, naturally, it's going to respond to you because it's of the earth, it's natural. And what I know about fruits, vegetables, herbs, things like that is they do what they say they're going to do. If you really use it, especially if you're consistent with it, it will really work. And especially if it's the right thing, if it's potent, if it's not genetically modified and all that other stuff. So it was birthed at that point when I realized, there's nobody else that's putting out this type of product. I have to do it. We see that things have changed now. There's plenty of people that are embracing plant-based products, but at the time that I did this back then, no, you would not hear of anything like that. People were like, you want me to put what on what? Like, no, I had to over explain my products all the time because people were like, what's in it? And I'm like, well, what's in the soap that you use now? Like, compare and contrast. Like, no, people were just not having it. So now people are more open-minded. But yeah, that's what birthed my skincare line, just messing around and being a weirdo in my house and just trying different things like, oh, I can use this, put this where and do what? Okay.
Hey, I love it. As you were saying that, there's a friend of mine that I feel like you would have really good synergy with, who I'm pretty sure you might have met before, but she does Black Beauty Near You, and she sends beauty products to her target audience is like Black women in college, like college students. But when she sends these beauty boxes to people, she usually includes like samples of different Black-owned beauty products or like promo codes for different Black businesses. So I feel like we might need to get some of your DJ Almond Butter into the Black beauty boxes. So Jada, if you're listening to this, Jada, if you listen to this, which I know you probably are, tap in.
You've been calling it that forever. I actually named one of my butters that because you had called it that.
The DJ Almond Butter?
Yeah. You had named it that before I named it that. I'm trying to find here we go. So like I said, I'm making new products. I really wanted to do something that I could see like being at Target. So I've been working on new stuff. So here's one of the new products.
Okay.
This is actually an intimate wash for both.
Okay, label. I like that label.
Thank you. I've been really trying to step it up with the label. I'm gonna not move it too much so it doesn't blur. But this is gonna be coming out shortly, soon, very soon. I don't want to put a time limit on it because I don't want to be lying if it's wrong. But this is what I'm doing right now. I really want to get back into it because I still see people using crazy products. Like, what are y'all doing? Okay, let's stop doing that.
Saving the world one skincare product at a time.
Trying my best.
And that's all we can do. Joanne, this podcast has been a blast so far. We're nearing the end of it. So have like a few quick hitter questions, whatever comes first to mind. Don't feel the need to give a long thought out answer. Just whatever you spew out first totally works for the question, especially for this first one, because this first one, I feel like I ask people and then they really want to give like the perfect all encompassing answer. Who are some people who inspire you or influence you? You don't got to go through the whole lineage and name every single person. So if you listen to this and she don't mention you, it's okay. I promise that she still likes you. But who are some people who inspire you and or influence you?
Well, it's easily my parents because they definitely brought a lot of these gifts to me. Not saying that they gave them to me, but they exposed me to the idea of expressing myself in those ways. So the food, the music, I definitely am grateful for my parents for exposing me to those things to learn about. My grandparents also, my grandfather is a pastor, retired, and he's always been a powerful voice. My grandmother too, because she supports him. She's standing behind him, even if she's not the one standing in the pulpit. She's the backbone, and I actually saw that growing up. I saw my parents, my grandparents, in their marriages, and just being everyday heroes for me. And those are the people that I can think of off top. Of course, there's artists and stuff that inspire me, but people that I've run into every day, those are the people that I really like to credit. So my parents, my grandparents.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. This next one, this is a new segment of the podcast called The Fourth Place. A little bit of background to The Fourth Place. There's this case study that we had in my MBA classes. We're talking about a certain coffee shop who was trying to figure out how to position themselves, and they wanted to be this third place. So the first place being your home, second place being work or school, third place being the coffee shop where you go to chit chat, hang out in between work and school. And so with the fourth place, this question is, where is a Zen place for you? And by Zen place, I mean a place, a scenario, or just certain set of circumstances where you feel the most peace of mind.
I physically like to be in nature, anywhere really, the park or the beach, but anywhere that there's a tree or anywhere that there's wind blowing, and I can just drown out the sound of the city or people or things like that. Sounds like that. That takes me away because then I can actually focus on my inner self and my thoughts and my breathing and what the hell is going on with me. So being able to get away into a place where there's nature and a place where there's wind and or the roar of the sea or the splashing of waves, whatever, just nature sounds and just peace amongst earth and greenery.
Hey, as an earth sign, I love my earth and greenery, so definitely vibing with you on your Zen place. Where can people find you and how can people support you in everything that you do?
Awesome. I'm on the internet and stuff. You can find me on Instagram at the real DJ AlmondEyez. I do have a page on there that's been hacked. It's at DJ AlmondEyez _ now because they kept trying to change my name, so I couldn't find them. So that page, I'm glad it's still up because you could see all the things that I used to do on there. But do follow my new page to see what I'm currently doing, and you could tap in with me or connect with me on there. I do have Facebook too, Joanne DJ AlmondEyez Guillory. I have music everywhere. If you just search DJ AlmondEyez with a Z, you can find my music on virtually any platform. I do have different music on SoundCloud. So my first few songs, the original stuff, the stuff that's raw and unfiltered is on SoundCloud, and everything else is on every other platform. And if you want to, tap in with what I'm doing around the city, I have some stuff brewing for 2024 that's going to be lit. It's still in the process, but I know that there's going to be a lot of crazy things happening then. But if you're interested in tapping into those things, just follow me on those platforms. And if you follow me on Instagram, more than likely you'll see where I'm going to be next to DJ or to pop up for a food event. If you're tapping in with the Old Globe Theater, that's more than likely where you'll find my vegan food right now. We cater for them on a regular basis, but I'm not doing regular pop-ups right now, but we will be. If you're looking to donate and get me a food truck, hook your girl up, please. If anybody has a food truck to spare, a trailer to spare, I will take that off your hands so that I can convert it into a food truck. But other than that, if you're looking for bookings and my upcoming events, follow my Instagram and all that info will be on there. My next event is the She's Worthy event. It's an event for single moms, highlighting and celebrating ourselves and what we do. And that's going to be in the Southeast over here on this side.
Okay, perfect. So last formal question of the podcast that I prepped you for, then I have one more surprise question that I'm gonna close us out with. I promise it's not as agonizing as what we started with. Going to end us on a nice, wholesome note.
Okay.
But the last formal question, what are takeaways from this episode for you, as well as what do you hope our listeners are taking away from this episode?
I think that in this episode, I realized that I don't honor myself enough, or reflect on all the things that I've accomplished. Sorry, I'm getting all teary-eyed. I don't know what that's about. That's fucking weird. Gemini. But yeah, I tend to harp on the things I'm not doing and how much more I want to do, that I don't spend time on reflecting on where I've come from and all the growth that I've, had over the years. So I hate that I'm crying right now. That's just fucking gross.
You're doing good.
It's all good.
But I want to say to anybody that got this far into the podcast that you should spend time giving yourself grace. And reflect on all the things that you've done up until now that have made you and molded you and shaped you into the person that you are. And all the shit that you've gone through and survived and fucking have been victorious over, despite what, you thought it was going to be or what other people thought it was going to be. You're still fucking here. You're still doing it. And all the haters, sorry. The haters can put roadblocks all they want to, but it's never going to stop you because they cannot stop you and they cannot stop what's yours from coming to you. So give yourself grace and reflect on what you've done and be grateful in every moment. Be grateful for the things you don't have physically because that's how they become yours. So yeah, gratitude. Thank you.
I love that and couldn't agree more with the takeaway for the listeners. I think what I'm taking away mainly from this episode is to make sure that you're putting all of you in everything that you do. I think that in all that you talked about with the different hats that you wear, there's been these common threads of sustainability. There's been these common threads of like being intentional about what you're putting on your body and what's coming out of your body through music, through the sound that you put out. And yeah, just giving flowers. I think that that's what is very important. That's why I wanted to have this podcast platform, because I want to give flowers to the people that are in my life, but also I feel like by the end of the episode, the person I'm interviewing usually giving flowers to themselves, and they realize that. You're not the first person to cry on the podcast. Don't worry, or to tear up, I should say. But no, it's beautiful. Like, I think that this is humanity. This is storytelling. Like when we really sit back and tell our stories. Because even as I was asking the questions, like, damn, Joanna did a lot. Like, there's so much that you've done. So I'm honored that you have trusted me to be the first podcast that you've been on. Like I said, it won't be the last time you're on a podcast for sure. And then I have one more question. Can't promise it won't also make you tear up, but maybe we'll get a nice heartwarming answer out of it. You are, to my understanding, I think you're the third mom to be on the podcast, all with little ones. And so I need to always close out the podcast with the moms with a special mommy corner. And I asked this to the other two moms too, so don't feel like I'm just putting you on the spot. But let's fast forward 10 years from now. Your daughter is on YouTube, pulls up this podcast, hears her mom like talk about all that her mom has done. What is your message to close this podcast out for your daughter, your little munchkin, your little rugrat? What message are we leaving this podcast with for her?
Baby girl, you're not an extension of me. You are an individual. You are your own person. And you are not my legacy. You're here to create your own. And I'm here to leave one for you. I'm here to guide you throughout the rest of your travel here and the rest of mine. And I don't put any pressure on you to be anything other than yourself. You don't have to be who mommy is. You don't have to strive to do anything that I do. You can just be you. I'll leave anything that I have to give for you here. And you can pick it up and take it, or you can leave it. But I just want you to be your best version. And I want you to be slow to anger and quick to love. And take care of yourself over anything. Because if you're not well, you can't give, you can't, you can't be that light for other people if you're not that for yourself. So take care of yourself. And mommy will always be here, whether I'm physically here or whether I'm in spirit. And I'll always be proud of you through any stage of your life. Woo!
I think the audience said it best. Woof. You almost got me with that one. I had to hold it together. Thank you. Thank you for the vulnerability. Obviously, I think that our listeners will really appreciate just how vulnerable and how transparent you've been on this podcast. And also just the love that you lead with, whether it's as a mom, as an artist, as a person. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for, like I said, trusting me with your time and your story on this podcast, trusting me to help you tell your story on this podcast, and for hanging with me for a couple hours. Shout out to your girlfriend, too, for hanging out with us in the background. Like a three-way podcast at this point. But no, this is beautiful. I think our listeners got such a well-encompassing picture of who you are. And I hope that they continue to tap in with you, support you. And I know that your daughter couldn't be more proud. So thank you.
I love you so much. And I appreciate everything that you do and all the ways that you've connected me to what you do. I'm grateful for you and forever, eternally grateful for you for believing in me as an artist and doing what you've done for me. So thank you. I'm honored.
Hey, the honor is all around. I receive that and appreciate the flowers that you've given to me. I'll still accept the check if you want to cut the check. But
hey, hold on now. When I plan to go places, so I'm gonna hold you to that. Hold me to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we already had I don't know if you remember this conversation, but you already agreed to DJ my wedding in the future for free. So.
Oh, I remember that. I was outside taking equipment out of my trunk, and we were talking about that, and I remember vividly, and I will hold you to that. And I'm not going to charge you whatever DJ AlmondEyez prices are at that time. I will charge you what they are right now.
We charge it for free. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, free sounds good to me.
We'll see where I'm at. If I'm like,
it sounds like free is that check that you.
We'll see what kind of money I got when I get married. If I got the money, you're gonna get paid to DJ.
No, honestly, free sounds good because back at that point where we're gonna be in our lives, that price is gonna be damn near free, Kyler.
That is true. That is true. Because
that's gonna be damn near free.
Hey, it's all up for here though. Listeners, I promise y'all at the beginning of the podcast, y'all will get 5-star content. Y'all did. So make sure y'all leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, Leave a comment below. Shout out like your favorite DJ AlmondEyez song or whatever it might be that's on your mind right now. On top of that, for the listeners who came because they saw Joanne was on the podcast, make sure y'all stick around for some of the other guests too. I know DJ AlmondEyez all dope and whatnot, but y'all can check out one more quick episode. But in all honesty, I always appreciate y'all listening. Make sure y'all follow the Banquet Hall podcast on all social media platforms at Banquet Hall Pod, and we will catch y'all on a future episode.